I remember being a junior in high school and thinking, once I'm in college, everything will be okay. I'll be an adult. I'll be out from under my parents' roof. Everything will come together. The world will be my oyster, so I'll be happy. Well, it's a strange feeling that now it's 5 years later, and yet it only feels like 5 months later, and I found that all those things were both true and not true at the same time. It reminds me of this saying that is attributed to Aristotle, but probably he didn't actually say it, that the more you know that you don't know. The more you learn things, the more you realize how little you know. When I was 17, I thought that I was on the verge of figuring it all out. And yet the further I've gone along, the more I've learned that that kind of grasp of stuff is always just out of reach. The world is a complicated, confusing place. Our hearts are even more so. There's good, there's evil, there's selfishness, there's love, there's life, there's death, there's justice, there's injustice, there's depression, there's happiness. And sometimes it's hard to see the line where one becomes the other, and it's hard to know how to bring yourself to cross over that line into goodness and love and life and happiness and justice. And yet, that's life. Sort of like Jacob, constantly wrestling with God, constantly being willing to lose, and constantly begging Him for a blessing and hoping that someday we will overcome. And that's been life for us here during the past 4 or so years, in this stage of our lives where we're coming to understand who we are, who we have been, who we want to be. And some days we wake up and we want to be God. We want to be the center. We want to be the man. We want to be the woman. We want to subdue everything to our own desire for power or pleasure. And yet other days, we wake up and we flee those youthful lusts, and we feel content to just be a human being that takes our humble place before God, before other people. My time here at Welch has helped me to make more of my days like the second kind of day. To wake up, even though I might feel tired and lazy and lonely or stuck inside my own head, to wake up anyway, to pull up the blinds of my second floor window in the dorm, see the sun coming up, see the wind blowing the clouds across the sky, and try my best to say along with Moses, "Oh, satisfy us early with your mercy, that we may rejoice and be glad all our days. Make us glad according to the days in which you have afflicted us. And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish the work of our hands for us." Yes, establish the work of our hands. My time at Welch has helped me to have more days defined not by envy and bitterness and lust and self-ambition, but instead by humility and gentleness and peace, love, the unity of the Spirit. I could tell you 100 ways that my time here has created more of these kind of days in my life, but maybe I could sum it up best with a few thank yous. Thank you to my professors for being people who are worthy of respect and emulation. Thank you for having humility and vulnerability to be honest about yourself, about your imperfections, about your accomplishments, your failures, and through that honesty, showing us how to develop the same kind of wisdom you've developed, the same virtue you've developed. Thank you to Dr. Holly for helping me to engage my moral imagination with literature from King Lear to The Death of a Salesman. Thank you to Dr. Sheldon and Dr. McAfee for helping me to develop a deeper love for our scriptures, teaching me how to see them both in a more human way and a more divine way, somehow at the same time. Thank you to Mr. Bracey for helping me to understand the world around me and how to figure out my role within it. Thank you to Mr. Morgan, my academic advisor, for helping me to figure out things not just related to academics, but to my overall vocation and purpose, whether it be raising chickens or ministry. Thank you to Dr. Owens and Mr. Webster for showing me what it looks like to genuinely minister to hurting, needy people. Thank you to Dr. Stevens and Ms. Harris for encouraging my interest in the arts and giving me opportunities to explore and express those interests in a way that I would have never received at any other school. Thank you to my friends for challenging the parts of me that need to change, calling those parts of me out, and encouraging the parts of me that I could cultivate into something good. Recently, I had a talk with some of my friends about this idea of seeing the stars above the roof, seeing the stars above the roof, not being shut off from the things that really matter, but allowing our lives to be pierced through and affected by the light of those stars. Well, the people here have opened our eyes to that light. They've showed us a way to try our best to tear down the roofs that we so constantly put up over our head, and instead to be like what St. Paul says. We all, with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory. Thank you.